you creatures of the night. Your two favorites uncles are back here for Cinephellas. I am Logan Myers. That's my good mate over there.
And I'm Uncle Henry. And once again, we are back. And we're back at a place where we've been before this 31 Days of Horror. We're visiting Jerusalem's Lot, aren't we? That's right. A movie that's been in the making for what, 6 years now? 5, 6 years.
2019. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's finally seen the light of day, going to the Max streaming service, of course. Gary Dauberman directing, back he directed The Nun. He came from the Conjuring universe. Comes over to direct a remake of Salem's Lot, which we reviewed the original mini series, the 3 hour kind of movie. They condensed it together. So we reviewed that, and we were really excited to finally get to check out Salem's Lot on Max. It had been a while, obviously since they announced it, and it finally got shown to us viewers. So was it that bad? Find out next. We're reviewing Salem's Lot.
Gone bad in the lot now.
Me and you were definitely excited to check this out. I've been really excited. Worried at the same time. Obviously, announced 2019, supposed to be released in 2022, pushed back to 2023, and now straight to the streamer on Max. Had me worried, especially the run time of like 2 hours. How are they going to accomplish this? There's so much story here, of course, from the original TV miniseries, Toby Hooper, that was over 3 hours long. How are they going to pull it off? So the brand new film, you feel it right from the get-go of the movie that there's definitely some strong editing, and they're cutting out a lot of great scenes.
Yeah, they kind of went to a part where we remember at least an hour in, from the miniseries, and they just kind of start with that in the movie, which kind of was a big glaring red flag there for us at the beginning. Yeah, as the movie progressed, we could obviously tell there's Lewis Pullman playing Ben Mears as his character, this author coming into town. We saw the shipping container coming into the Marsden house, of course, with a head vampire in it. I thought the scene in the miniseries, the older version, was a lot better. It was a lot creepier, more suspenseful. This one, nobody was talking about how cold it was. There wasn't any intrigue about going to pick it up. Kind of missed that right off the bat. They had a chance to set up some suspense early on, and I felt like they didn't get into that right away as much as they could have. But yeah, we have a lot of the same characters that showed up in the original miniseries. Lewis Pullman coming in as the author. I thought he was okay. I didn't think he had as much charisma as the old version of Salem's Lot, and that's probably due to the script and everything. But over the course of the movie, he livens up. We'll say he's feels kind of not. He doesn't really feel like an author, is what I'm trying to say at the beginning of the film. They don't really touch on that very much about how he's an author. He kind of walks into a place and he's on the back of a book. But other than that, they don't really talk too much about him being this huge author in the movie. Then you have Susan Norton, played by Mackenzie Lee, as the girl that's obviously going to become involved with Uncle Ben, and she takes an eye to him and finally notices that it's him, after meeting him at running into him at I think it was like a restaurant or something when he comes into town. But yeah, so what we wanted to know was how are they going to improve upon the creatures and the horror of the old version. We wanted more gore, and we were intrigued and interested in to see how they were going to do the makeup work and everything. Was it going to rely too much on the CGI? And they did rely on CGI here, but I did like the creature design and everything. I thought the creature themselves looked pretty creepy in this.
Especially Barlow. I thought he looked really impressive. I was not expecting much, but I like how they mixed practical and CGI visual effects on, the vampire, and then of course the town of vampires too. Some scenes looked really great, others not so much. But yeah, I did like how they went about it in this movie for the most part, especially towards the end of the movie. It was pretty cool. But yeah, I have to agree with you. Lewis Pullman playing Ben Mears didn't have the charisma of David Soul from the original film. Kind of felt wooden a little bit, a little stiff, not as relaxed as I was hoping for as an author. You're like, yeah, whatever, always writing something down. Didn't feel it with this, but with, Lewis Pullman playing this character. But it got better throughout the movie, but definitely in the beginning, not so much. Susan Norton, played by Mackenzie Lee, playing the love interest. I thought she was pretty good too. And of course, we had Matt Burke, played by Bill Camp, showing up in this movie. I love him and everything he does. Really great actor.
Yeah, I love Bill Camp too. Great actor. Seeing him in this, and then eventually he gets turned into it, and that was a pretty gnarly scene. That was one of the better scenes when he gets turned, and you see him with the glowing eyes and the fangs and everything. And who else do we have in this movie? One of the OGs and somebody that we like popping up in movies who's been in a ton of movies, sci-fi, horror. We're talking about William Sadler here. He's playing the town like sheriff deputy, basically, and somebody that, doesn't want anything to do with the vampires here. He's basically telling everybody to go home. He's not going to be able to help them. You're all pretty much fucked here. You're going to get eaten by the vampires. Don't expect my help.
William Sadler, no newbie to the horror genre, popping up in a lot of Stephen King adaptations, of course. But yeah, playing the sheriff, he wants nothing to do with this. He's like probably retiree age at this point. You can just move on and like figure it out. And that's kind of like Ben Mears' character, and of course, young Mark, which I thought was the MVP of this movie, the young kid, played by Jordan Preston Carter, being the little monster fan, much like myself when I was a kid. Reading comics and how do you stop vampires? Ask the kid, and he was willing to kill all of them and go after, of course, Barlow in the movie, which is really fantastic. I thought he really carried most of the movie.
Yeah, he was definitely the most fun character. And you're right. Like you mentioned, he had done his vampire research. He knew exactly where to go, where the stake goes through the heart. Big comic book fan. And he came through in the end, along with Ben, of course, and the others there. But my main problem with this film was it was pretty slow to set up, and it felt patchy. Like there were a lot of scenes missing that should have been there. And like we were talking about before this, there was supposed to be a three plus hour cut from Gary Dauberman, so they trimmed out a lot of scenes from this movie, and it definitely felt like that. Leading into the last half hour, 45 minutes when it finally started picking up, and we really enjoyed it. It felt like that first hour and 15 of the movie were really slow, and it just felt like it was kind of out of place and patchy, and then finally it started picking up towards the end. But yeah, it felt like something was missing there at the beginning of the film.
It felt like a hollow movie. Yeah, like you said, first hour and 15 minutes, it just felt like all over the place. And you could tell that it was missing scenes. You can tell this is filmed during COVID because there's like nobody in the town. I noticed a lot before all the vampires started taking over. Like, there was a
Yeah.
lot of people in production. So you can tell, it just felt like really empty at times. But yeah, I did like the third act of the film. Last 45 minutes, I thought were really, a lot better. I like the whole scene with the drive-in movie theater. Obviously, movie junkies like ourselves, appreciate that whole scene. I thought it was interesting and cool, and a different take how they went about going after the vampires. And of course, Barlow at the very end, I thought that was really well done. And I thought, no, Lewis Pullman got better at the end. I liked Ben Mears at the very end of the movie, got some balls. Or he's like, let's take out these vampires. And of course, young Mark, really great too. And they worked well together. And I thought the ending was probably the best part of the movie.
Yeah, without a doubt for me, that ending really made up for a lot of the beginning of the movie that I was really disappointed in. I was going to rate this a lot lower, but I felt like that last half hour, at least, of that movie really bumped things up for me. I wanted to see more of that throughout the film. I feel like there was a good film in there overall, and maybe the longer version, maybe it would improve upon it. But definitely the ending, and when we finally got into the creatures, and then going face to face with Ben and Mark, and like you mentioned at the drive-in movie theater, that was a really cool setting for all that chaos to happen and all those vampires to start showing up. We had the kid from Gladiator there too in a role. He was one of the kids that got turned. And there were some creepy scenes where they were like up waiting on the roof. You could see their glowing eyes, and the head vampire, like you had mentioned, looked really awesome. Had the same glowing yellow eyes that we remember from the original miniseries version, and I thought they looked really great. I like the scene where the girl died, and then you can kind of see her through the white sheet, and then you can see her start waking up and you can see her fangs. Some really cool shots in the film in that last part. But yeah, I had a pretty good time with this movie overall. It wasn't a disaster by any means. They definitely should have released this. I don't know why they were holding it for so long. I mean, I don't know what they were trying to accomplish by doing that. I mean, this definitely wasn't one of the worst films that I've seen. And like I said, the last half hour, 45 minutes really make up for the boring, kind of slow, choppy first half of the movie.
I just want to see the Gary Dauberman cut, like the Zack Snyder cut, the 3 hour cut. And I think it will fix a lot of the issues that I had with this movie, like you said.
Mhm.
The first half of the movie, just very choppy. Looks like they cut out a lot of scenes. Doesn't flow very well. Tones all over the place. And then maybe then they just kept as is. And definitely the best part of the movie. Not a terrible movie by any means, but the original's way better. Of course, David Soul original film, Toby Hooper directed. Incredible movie, way better. But this one is watchable during the Halloween season. Check it out at least once, and hopefully they'll release the better version, 3 hour version down the road. So that being said, I'm going to give the new Salem's Lot currently streaming on Max. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. Lewis Pullman hair pieces.
Yeah, I think that's a fair score. Where this was tracking to be a 2 or a 2.5, that last part of the movie really bumped it up to a 3 for me. So overall, not a disaster, not the best. Go watch the original, definitely. And yeah, I'd like to see the Doberman cut. It could maybe improve this movie even more and hopefully flow better. And I had a pretty good time with it, especially the end. It made up for the beginning. Lewis Pullman got better as the movie went on. He just wasn't really there right away for me. But then by the end of the film, he got to do more and become the hero, which was cool to see. The cast all did a good job. Bill Camp, like we mentioned, was good. Father Callahan, he didn't really get much to do. He kind of showed up and didn't really have a huge part in this. He was kind of the drunk alcoholic priest or father that we have seen in every other movie. He didn't really have much to do. He gets killed rather quickly. So yeah, but with that being said, I too am going to give Salem's Lot, it's now streaming on Max, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5 William Sadler hair pieces.
I want to hear from all you bloodsuckers out there. What did you like about the new Salem's Lot? What didn't you like about it? What's your favorite flick of 2024 thus far? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to stay subscribe.
Right through the heart.
Right through the hat. Check out these wild vampires on Facebook, X, and Instagram, and our website, Cinephellas.com, for the latest, greatest TV, movie news, and horror reviews.
Thank you guys for watching all our 31 Days of Horror videos. This whole month has been a great month for us, watching all these horror movies and shows, new movies, old movies, some TV shows mixed in there. All the Cinephellas boys are having a blast for these 31 Days of Horror, and we're going to be back tomorrow with an all-new 31 Days of Horror video. So thank you for watching our review of Salem's Lot, and until the next 31 Days of Horror, I'm Uncle Henry Stryker.
And I'm Uncle Father Callahan, signing out till the next horror review for 31 Days of Horror. Cheers! Cheers!